right, everyone, this is NFL Talk from across the pond and back. It's Tim, it's Dom, it's a dynamic duo. We're here talking sports, we're talking football, we're talking everything under the sun. Training camp, it's full swing, underway. We had our first preseason game with the, Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. We had the brawl to settle it all. We got contract signings, we got other camp news, but as always, Dom, you're looking dapper today. How are we?
I'm all good, and you say that we're in full swing, and indeed we are, particularly in New York, where they are literally taking a swing at each other. But all good. I've had a lovely meal, lovely rare piece of beef.
I was a little late on the rim shot.
Well, look, I've had a couple of bottles of red, and I'm still quicker to draw. What can I say? But yeah, no, I'm all good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, but I want to get into this whole nonsense because we are Giant fans. And we are Giant fans, and we just want to get into this nonsense of everything that's going on because I got an opinion on it. I've talked to you a couple times about this, so I have an idea of what your opinion is on it. I mean, okay. For those that don't know.
Look, very quickly, it slightly changed because I hadn't seen what had happened when I spoke to you last about it, but it's by and large the same. But we should definitely get into it. It's been the big New York story of the week.
For those that don't know, of course, in the New York Giants training camp, they had their first padded practice. That means where you put on the pads and actually get to hit somebody. And basically what happened at the padded practice is there was an altercation. And the altercation turned into a little bit of a scuffle, and the scuffle turned into a bench clearing brawl. What doesn't seem like much of a brawl. Joe Judge, the venerable head coach, got mad at his team. Pulled them all together, canceled practice, sent the coaches off the field, and had a tirade against his team. Because you want to know why?
Are you a big man? Huh? I'm talking to you.
What?
You wake up in the morning, you say, I put on my big boy pants. Look, I'm wearing a belt. I got big boy pants on.
Because you need big boy pants on to play football, and that's what Joe Judge was showing. He had his big boy pants on. He was the controlling entity of this team. He was the guy that was going to make everything right. All right, Dom. People that know me say I'm a Joe Judge hater, and I'm not a Joe Judge hater. But what he did the other day, he made a non-story about a football fight first day of padded practice into a huge story, which then in turn turned into him making the team running laps and doing all these things that you don't do except in high school. And he made the story about himself. This was a non-story. This was nothing. And Michael Irvin, the venerable wide receiver, Hall of Famer, Dallas Cowboys, came out and said, well, no, what's going on behind the scenes is as soon as it happened, they had that first hit. The coaches were behind the scenes going, yeah, they were popping these guys in practice. They're ready. We're so excited about this. No, if that was the case, Joe Judge wouldn't have done what he did, which was send off his entire coaching staff, do a Herb Brooks from the Olympic 79 team, which Herb Brooks, what he did is he made himself to be out the bad guy and the coaches to be the good guy. He wouldn't have done all this if that's what it was all about. If that's what they were doing, they were pumped up about it. No, he was making a statement. He was making a point that it was all about Joe Judge, and Joe Judge is in charge of everything in New York. And if you don't do things his way, you retire.
You can't handle the truth.
This year.
What's that?
I said, in the case of many Giants fans, players this year, that is literally what they do.
And that's literally what they do. But in my opinion, it was Joe Judge, just from a coach, from a guy that's 6-10, going into his second season, who may be on life support if he doesn't win. It's a bold move because you put yourself in the forefront, and if you don't win now and you go on a losing streak at the beginning of the season, you are going to lose this locker room. Dom, what do you think?
Look, first of all, a fight in practice at training camp in any sport, right? I mean, this is news. I mean, it never happens ever. Right?
Breaking news.
I mean, look. I never played even to the level you played. Obviously, not American football. It's not such a big thing over here. It's becoming bigger, but it's not such a big thing here. But in any sport, it happens. I mean, I remember training, literally midweek training sessions. You're talking massively amateur, where you pay to play, and you still have those balls. I remember catching someone with a bad tackle. It was an accident. It caused a scuffles in game. It happens. And look, in training camp, these things are going to happen. It's almost a non-story. And you can say this is a good thing because the players are fighting and committed, or you can say this is a bad thing. I think The one thing I would say is that Daniel Jones being at the bottom of that bundle is not a good thing, to have your quarterback at the bottom of that and risk getting him hurt. But the fight itself is not the story. You're exactly right. The fact that Joe Judge decided to make it the story is what's made it the story. Everyone would have forgotten about it. In fact, it may not have even made
it wouldn't even have been a blip in the radar. It may, and you know what really befuddles me? And I'm not drinking, but I'm using good words like befuddle. There's no video of the fight. And I understand that cameras aren't allowed to roll during plays for the press. But in this day of social media,
not one camera phone, not one
iPhone got broken out and recorded the fight. Not one.
Even the aftermath, surely, like someone.
Exactly. You figure someone had an iPhone. Not one phone was broken out.
Is this the biggest conspiracy theory since JFK?
Well, I do have the theory.
It didn't actually happen.
I did have the theory about the grassy knoll. I don't want to talk about that. all I'm going to say is two things: hoax and aliens. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there now.
I think maybe we'll bring it back to New York Giants, which maybe we have a better shot of winning the Super Bowl than we have of returning to the moon this year. But no, I mean, look, it's a fight happens. It happens. The concern really for me is less the fight, and although I am slightly concerned that Daniel Jones was at the bottom of that fight, you do not want your quarterback, particularly when you don't have if you have a former starting quarterback as your backup, to a certain level, then maybe. But even then, you don't want that to happen. But I think the thing for me is you're exactly right. We've not been a winning franchise since 2012, not really, with the 1 year where we really went big, and that's because we spent
we haven't been a winning franchise since 2011.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, since the start of the 2012 season to 2011, but 2012 we've been losing since then, with the one exception where we went big in free agency and we just threw everything at it to save Jerry Reese's job. If we're being honest, it is. I don't think it's a make or break season for Joe Judge, and I'm actually a believer in Joe Judge. I think he has the potential to be a quality coach, but there is a concern. You've been saying it all week, and I agree with you that you've got veteran players retiring. Okay, maybe they weren't starters, but they were certainly potential starters.
Yeah, Looney was potentially coming in to start and stay with Todd Davis. Yeah,
all of those players, with the exception of Benjamin, are probably making that 53-man roster, let's be honest. And they all walked away. And there is no smoke without fire. Now, maybe the camp was too hard and they thought that I shouldn't have to fight this hard for a position. Or maybe, I don't know. But three walking away is a bit of a...
3 and 4 days.
That for me worries me more than the fight does.
Right. Well, former players have come out, not former Giants, but former players have come out and weighed in on this, besides of Michael Irving. And a lot of them were like, Judge is pushing too hard. He's a guy that's never won. One guy said he's a guy that's never won anything. And he's more concerned about his hair. I didn't know Joe Judge was concerned about his hair, but he
doesn't have much.
I don't think he does have a lot. I think he's got more of a shaved head. But
I was going to say he shaved his head, right?
Yeah, but it's the fact that when you have a guy come in, James Looney, who came in at center, came in and was in camp for 1 day. They had the fight. They ran the laps. They did the sprints between the end zones, and they did the push-ups. He quit the next day. I mean, that kind of tells me that it had something to do with what's going on in camp.
Yeah, I mean, he has said it's not about the fight, but you can take that with a pinch of salt.
None of these players will ever say it was about the fight. None of these players will ever say, because you don't know, unless you turn in your paperwork with the NFL, you have not officially retired. So they could have just been looking to get out of the contract, and they may go someplace else. But when you have people that you were going to count on to be part of your offensive line and potentially a starting linebacker walk away, I get, as a Giant fan, I get concerned that a 6-10 coach is making this more about him than he is the team, and he's doing this whole psychological thing. Because going back in the day, Bill Parcells, I remember, because I went to a lot of the Giant training camps, Bill Parcells used to have veterans pick on rookies to start fights to test the mettle of the players. Eric Dorsey, who was a defensive tackle for the Giants in the 86 season, came out from Notre Dame. They had the offensive linemen try to get under his skin and get him to fight. It's a tool sometimes in training camp. And
see
then
how they react, right?
And then
You know?
and then my favorite part was 24 hours later after the fight, the Giants' statement was, and Joe Judge's statement was, this was more of a learning exercise so we don't make stupid penalties. Because, when you get into fights, you'll get penalized in the game, and that's why I got so upset. No, that was damage control after you got bashed in the media for something that should never even have been a story.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, with Looney, I got terribly excited when he signed because I misheard it and thought we signed Tooney. I was like, great, our offensive line just got a lot better. But yeah, look, you're exactly right. Look, do I think Joe Judge did a good job last year? Look, we were a 6-10 side. We got off to a terrible start. I think he turned it around in the second half. Kind of encouraged.
Well, our schedule more turned it around in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. 6-10 was probably where, in fact, is exactly where I said we'd be last season. And I'm not saying I'm the Oracle or the Mystic Meg, but that's where we thought we would be, and he delivered where we thought we'd be. He's not, he's not the Messiah. He delivered what we probably should have delivered, and that's what you probably want and expect from a first season coach. The issue here, and my concern is, and you look at the Bill Belichick tree, and I'm being. This is an easy point to make, and others have made it, and it's not original, but the Bill Belichick tree hasn't produced that many because a lot of them have tried to copy the Bill Belichick mode. You can do that when you're Bill Belichick. You've won a lot, and you've not just won it once, you've done it multiple times. You need to be winning if you're going to do this sort of thing. And that is where the concern comes. That coupled with the fact that we've had 3 players retire, all of a sudden, that does start to ring alarm bells for me, particularly when we do have a need for veteran presences in several positions across the field, where some of these players have retired. That is a concern for me going into the season if I'm a New York Giant fan, which I am, and I'm a New York Giant player, because a lot of people are saying Gettleman goes if we don't make the playoffs this year.
And here's my point.
If he goes, Judge goes with him.
Exactly, and that was about to be my point when you said you don't think this is a make or break season for Judge. I think this is 100% a make or break season for Judge, because if you have another bad season, let's say they win 5 games or 6 games again, and the Giants scrap Dave Gettleman, they are going to go after a brand new general manager. Now, a brand new general manager is going to want to bring in his own coach. He's not going to want to have a coach left over from the last regime.
Or potentially, yeah. I mean, that's likely. And so, and I should clarify, because I think you're exactly right. That could be the end for his New York Giant career. I don't necessarily think it's the end for his head coaching career. He's not gone and done, and he's with us now. I really should remember his name.
Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens. He's not gone and done that. Or, what's his face in the Texans, last year. He's done.
What's his name? Malarkey? What's his name? Mike Malarkey?
O'Brien, I want to say.
Oh, O'Brien. Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, yeah.
Yeah, but Bill O'Brien was a coach over at Penn State before he came over to.
But he's probably not coming back as an NFL head coach now.
I don't think if Joe Judge flames out in year 2, he's not going to be an NFL coach again. He was barely hiccuping on a coordinator, and he was not even really a coordinator. He was a special teams coach.
But I wouldn't rule out him coming back. I think he definitely comes back. His next job isn't a head coach.
No,
he may have 1 or 2 coordinator roles before he comes back. But I don't think he's done enough damage to ever say he's never coming back again.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that because the 2021 season hasn't ended. He could do a lot of damage.
Well, he could, yeah. Okay, but right now, he would have to do something quite bad. But there's only 32 gigs. And there's a lot of talented people out there, so you can't guarantee you're coming back.
Yep.
But what I mean is I don't think it's necessarily the end for him. Whereas I think those 2 examples, there's almost no chance that they land another head coaching gig. I can't see a path back to them. At the moment, I don't think Joe Judge is in that world. But it could be the end for him for the Giants because, as you say, I'm a big fan. You move the GM on, you're moving the head coach on.
Well, no quality GM or I should say no veteran quality GM is going to want to come into an organization where he can't bring his own guys in. And the first guy he's going to want to bring in is going to be a head coach. Because he's not going to try to win with a guy that already got his predecessor fired. Yep.
I mean, I'm not necessarily buying the 2 are linked. I think I'm actually not a Gettleman hater. I think Gettleman season 1 for me made some decisions based on the fact of trying to do the thing of rebuild and win at the same time, which
Right.
very rarely, if ever, works. After that, I think he went into rebuild mode and tried to sort our cap issues. So I don't actually think Gettleman has done a terrible job. Now, a lot of Giants fans will hate me for saying that, and that's fine because he splits opinion. I'm not a Gettleman hater. I think actually, while he's made mistakes, what GM hasn't, what head coach hasn't, he's actually, generally speaking, been in a difficult position and tried to make the best of what he has as a general rule. But, you're exactly right. I mean, so I don't think he loses Gettleman's job. I think Gettleman loses his job because he's been in charge for however many years it is now, and his record is horrific.
But if you look at history of the NFL, I would say 98% of the time when a general manager gets fired, the coach goes with him.
Yeah, and exactly that. If I was the owner of the New York Giants right now, and the Giants go 6-11, whatever it is, 11 this season because of 17 games, unless there is a horrific injury and you lose your quarterback, you lose your running back, you lose your best wide receiver, you lose your left tackle, and you lose a couple of defensive, you have a San Francisco injury season. It's the end for Gettleman, and therefore you might as well just pull the whole lot down because our cap situation is terrible.
Well, that's what you're gonna. That's exactly what you're gonna do.
You just start again.
You're just gonna wipe the board. But let's get off the Giants because they're boring. Let's go to the Jets.
They're not boring, but I think we covered it.
Let's go to the Jets because they're exciting. The Jets had their fan fest yesterday where fans came out and watched the practice, and they had the glorified scrimmage between the offense and the defense.
Zach Wilson turn up because I know he missed a couple of days because he had better things to do.
Zach Wilson had what Zach Wilson would say he had what we would refer to as a bad day. 11 for 24. 112 yards, 2 interceptions, almost threw a third. I mean, it's not the best optical start for your high-priced rookie quarterback after you're coming back from the Sam Darnold situation. I watched the tape. He did not look and I will put this. He did not look good. And let me rephrase it a better way. These glorified scrimmages, especially in front of fans, they try to put their especially your franchise quarterback in a situation where he looks good in front of the fan base. He did not look good. I would say some people have had worse first days or first impressions, but I don't know if you looked at the film, Dom. If you looked at this kid, I know it's early, but I would be concerned about week 1.
I mean, I haven't seen the footage, but can I just check something with you? Was Scooby-Doo and the gang there in the crowd? Because that might explain why he was seeing ghosts.
He wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, but he just did not look comfortable. He was sacked a couple times. There was a couple of miscommunications on some routes to Corey Davis, who's their big free agent signing. The offense as a whole struggled, but he had a bunch of 3-and-outs, only produced 1 field goal. And like I said, these scrimmages are in a lot of ways meant to glorify, especially when there's fans are in the stands. And there was like 15,000 people there. They're meant to glorify your pick. There are a lot of ways they're scripted to make him look good. Yeah, he did. And he's going up against the defense that he's gone up against for the last 2 weeks. I mean, Dom, is there any panic in Jet Nation right now?
I mean, when you've not won something for a while, I'm not sure you can panic. I think you're probably there going, it's happening again. I mean, look, I can't remember my exact views on Zach Wilson. I know you were a big doubter, and I can't remember exactly where my views were on him. I think I said that whoever goes to 49ers will be fine, and Trevor Lawrence was fine, and then it was 2 from the other 3 would almost certainly not make it, if not all 3. I think my concern for the Jets would be, as you say, these practices are designed to make your quarterback look good. Right. I think in the early weeks of training camp, the offense generally struggles. We talked about it before.
Yeah, well, the offense is always ahead. I mean, excuse me, the defense is always ahead.
The defense is always ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the concern is he's against guys where he knows what they're going to do. He can look and see what they're about to do because they're his guys and he knows the scheme and therefore he should be able to read that. I still think it's training camp. I still think there's time, and I'm not overly worried. I think the concern I would have as a Jets fan is when Sam Darnold came in, the Jets were a complete and utter mess, right? I do actually think the surrounding cast around Wilson is much stronger than it was for Darnold. And my view would have been, I'm 99% sure that I said this, was I would have kept Darnold and traded that pick and tried to get an even better roster around them, because I think Darnold can make it. And I wouldn't have gone with the risk of Wilson and not knowing what you've got. I could see the attractions. Darnold was compromised goods and he's not produced, and you can reset the clock. But you knew what you had with Darnold, and I still think Darnold can do it.
Right.
So, I mean, for the Jets, I would still have some concerns. I think they're a better roster, and I really like what their GM has done, if I'm honest, overall. But I'm not sure Wilson... I could be wrong. I could have said Wilson was the next big thing, but I don't think I did. I think I said the jury is out on Wilson.
Right.
And certainly my view now is...
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Zach Wilson. I'm maybe 3 years down the road, but I don't see it. I mean, I don't know. There's just too much. To me, there's just too much not there for Zach Wilson, and I don't know, man. If like I said, I'm not going to pull the panic button yet, especially if I was a Jet fan. But it's
not after a week.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting. But I want to talk about another.
I do just one thing. I do wonder whether. Look, I remember I did say he looks like a face of the franchise in terms of his appearance and his schoolboy good looks. The question is the talent there? And I remember talking about it at the time. They showed some film and going, Sam Darnold did this. Look at this. It was practice. It was his pro day. Like, the pads are off.
He rolled to the right and he threw a perfect pass in the end zone to the corner of the end zone to his left. And like I said, it wasn't me. Yeah. It was Louis Riddick.
It now.
Yeah, Louis Riddick is the one that pointed it out and said, and showed the footage of Sam Darnold doing the exact same thing, but in a game.
Yeah. So so I think the jury's out there. I'm not. I think I still think they'd have been better off with Darnold and trading a pick for a ton and putting some better pieces around Darnold this year and next, using those picks to better the roster around him, which I do think that their GM, in fairness to him, has done a very good job of doing by and large.
Speaking of another franchise number one quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, evidently Gardner Minshew is not ready to relinquish the reins to the number one overall pick. He's evidently still competing and actually having a really good camp. Dom, I mean, think about that for a minute. Would you not start you're Urban Meyer, it's your first foray into the NFL. This is your shot at the big time. Do you go with Gardner if he's playing well because you think it'll give you opportunities to win some games right off the bat? Or do you go with not a struggling Trevor Lawrence, but if Minshew outplays Lawrence and you're Urban Meyer, do you play Gardner Minshew over the number one overall quarterback messiah?
I mean, I really want to do the Monty Python reference and say he's not the Messiah, but he's a very naughty boy. But
I was kind of waiting for that.
A very well behaved chap. So I
was kind of waiting for that.
Yeah. I mean,
we talked about that last week.
Yeah, I know, but the King of the Idiots messaged me in the week saying I love the reference to Monty Python, which is amazing because, like you, I rarely listen back. Sometimes I do, just if I think I've had a bit of a bad week, I listen back. But I didn't last week. I was like, did I say that? He was like, yeah, you did. I was like, cool, I don't remember. But
you said a lot of other naughty things last week.
I said, yeah, we went into a whole rabbit hole of difficulties for me. The JCB, by the way, is still on the drive.
All right.
I need to go and get the local builders merchant to come and pick it up, actually.
So come on, Gardner Minshew. You're going to try to win some games.
Look, no, I probably don't think I do. Let's, for argument's sake, say Gardner Minshew is massively outperforming Trevor Lawrence right now. Okay? Now, I think Gardner Minshew for a sixth-round pick in particular, if I remember rightly, I think he's sixth round.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to hedge. He was a sixth-round pick. He was definitely a sixth-round pick. It has done a decent job, particularly year one. Last year, they were horrific, but they also traded a heck of a lot off the team, which probably contributed to where they ended up. But I think that fan base and that team have invested so much into Trevor Lawrence now, you almost can't go in any other direction apart from Trevor Lawrence unless he's absolutely horrific in training camp. I think you have to go for him. What I do think is that Trevor Lawrence has certainly earned himself as a position of one of the best backups in the league, if not capable of a starting position. If I was, say, the Texans right now, would I rather have Gardner Minshew or Taylor right now? Was it Taylor? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Taylor that they've got. I would take Gardner Minshew. I think you'd look around and say Gardner Minshew could start on 5-6 teams right now, and that would be a credible position for him to start, if not more. But I think you have to go with Lawrence.
Okay, I think, and I have to agree. I mean, it's to me, it's one half dozen another. You're there for the long haul. You need to win, but you still need to win games. But if he's going to be your guy, Trevor Lawrence, which he's drafted number 1 overall, he better be your guy. You have to play him over the opportunity. And I know it's going to piss fans off, but you have to go through his growing pains instead of trying to win games.
Yeah, look, the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you're a fan of Jacksonville right now, would you take a 6-11 season right now if you're Jacksonville?
Sure.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah.
You were, what, was it 1-15 last year? Or did they win 2?
I think they won 2 last year.
Yeah, I mean, all I remember is watching Jets fans cry because they won a game that their running back was meant to stop before the line and fell over the line, and he won the game, and they realised they weren't getting the number 1 overall pick, which is the most Jets thing to do.
Hey, it's funny. The Giants at one point were in line for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. That's why I'm convinced that's why Jones fell over. It's Jones at the 10, it's Jones at the 5, and never mind. I love that button you have, but yeah, no, look, they were. But I think you've invested so much in Lawrence that he's your guy down there. He's going to be a starting caliber quarterback, no question. I'd be a big shock if he wasn't. You just go through his growing pains, you get him the reps, and you know what? If you go 4-13 this year, so be it. It's no difference between going 4-13 or 6-11. You're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah, going to the playoffs either way. Yeah.
Just get him the snaps and just go.
And what Don was referring to earlier is when Daniel Jones was running for the touchdown and in Philadelphia. Yeah, it was Philadelphia. And he had 80-yard run, would have been the longest run in Giants history. And he got to the 4-yard line and he fell down. I happened to find the video. It's Daniel Jones at the 5. It's Daniel Jones at never mind. And that pretty much summed up what happened to Daniel Jones. That's from my show, Online Big Blue.
Yeah, fell over with no one in sight.
Nobody in sight. I want to talk about another quarterback. And he's our favorite topic. It's our old buddy, Mr. Discount Double Check, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is now happy. Aaron Rodgers, they just traded back for Randall Cobb with the Texans with the 6th-round pick the Packers did to get the favorite receiver and favorite son of Aaron Rodgers back into Green Bay. Now Aaron is happy. Aaron is ecstatic. But if you actually listen to the press conference of the head coach, he did not seem too enamored with the fact that Randall Cobb was coming back. He didn't say anything negative about the trade. All we really talked about was how Aaron Rodgers is happy. I mean, and I understand Aaron Rodgers is an all-world talent. I get that, Dom. I 100% get it. I'm not saying anything against that. But when you start making personnel decisions on a guy you got rid of who's coming over with a $20-something million $26 million contract, which you just signed in 2020, to make your franchise quarterback happy, who may not even be here next year, is that a way to do things?
He's not going to be there next year.
Is that a way to run a team in Green Bay?
I mean, listen, I have 2 things to say. Well, I have lots of things to say. Firstly, bring me sunshine, bring me smiles. I mean, Morecambe and Wise nailed it with the end of their show, and for British people of a certain age, you'll appreciate the reference. But yeah, look, Aaron Rodgers, what is the point in making him happy right now? He's here for the year. He goes next summer, no question about it. He goes before the draft next year. I think it would be a big surprise if he's with Green Bay next year. I'm assuming the Green Bay Tourist Board over there in Wisconsin will be
heard about what you said.
I mean, I hear he's heading up a new advertising campaign. But look, I think we said it last week about Randall Cobb, right? I don't understand it. They have a wide receiver whose name escapes me now off the top of my head, who came out of the draft and his comp player was Randall Cobb.
Right.
He's younger, cheaper. I don't get it, apart from to keep Rodgers happy. But I don't think they're keeping him beyond the year. I still think with Rodgers there, I think that they are probably Tampa's biggest challengers in the NFC, if we're honest. I don't see anyone else really challenging Tampa unless they have the world supply of injuries this year or someone comes out of left field to do it. But Rodgers isn't going to be in Green Bay next year. But I'm Green Bay. I'm going, let's get through the year. Let's do as well as we can. But what's the future now? That's where I'd be thinking as that front office right now.
Right. And I think I have to agree with that. I mean, I understand you're trying to make him happy. You're trying to.
Has anyone ever made Aaron Rodgers happy? I mean, I'm yet to see him ever smile.
He doesn't smile, does he? He really doesn't.
Though, to be fair, but
he might smile. I mean, he dated Danica Patrick and some other hot women, so he might be smiling back then. But I have to agree with you. I don't see him. I don't see him smiling. I don't know. Maybe he's happy. We shouldn't pick on poor Aaron because we don't know. But
I mean, you got to feel for Aaron, right? I mean, if Aaron Rodgers was paid many $1 million a year to go and play for a franchise team, you'd feel for him and go, it's really icky here. I don't want to be here. It's a horrible place. But he's not in any of those situations. So, you have to give him some sympathy because none of those things exist. And he's got a really tough gig, right?
Yeah, he's got a tough life. I feel so bad for Aaron. I'm gonna. You know what?
I know. I mean, he must be struggling to pay rent every week. Right?
I think we need to get a GoFundMe page together for Aaron. I think we need to get a GoFundMe page together for Aaron. I think that's what we need to do right now.
Maybe you could divert the Yiadom.
The Isaac Yiadom bus ticket GoFundMe. Well, I would have to say, of course, people probably don't know, Isaac Yiadom is the venerable quarterback for the New York Giants. He does not play well, and I have put together a GoFundMe page to get him to buy him a bus ticket to get him out of New York. I will admit that right now we have raised a grand total of, I'm going to check here, $4.98. So we're only $110 away from that bus ticket. So please go to the Isaac Yiadom, please get the hell out of town page, and we can take care of that as soon as possible.
I hate to tell you this, but he will make the 53-man.
I know he's going to make the 53-man roster. I even said that he may even play a pivotal role at times with the Giants.
I mean, in all seriousness, and we should move on very quickly from Isaac Yiadom because it's not a good topic for either of us to discuss. But in fairness, he is a veteran presence in what is otherwise a very young and inexperienced competition for those cornerback positions.
Right. Well, more towards the depth positions because we do have we do have Dory Jackson, James Bradbury, Logan Ryan, all those guys.
Yeah, if either of those two go down, he's at least someone that's played before, unlike probably anyone else that plays in those deep positions. But please God, let's move on from the Isaac Yiadom because I want to.
We should move on.
Do the opposite of Aaron Rodgers and have a smile.
What's that noise?
Draft, baby, yeah!
It's time for the damn lightning topics. Oh, I always miss that. I just love that button. That is such a great button.
Draft, baby, yeah!
Oh, you should see it. I can mimic it so well. So, Dom. What do you got for us today? What do you got for us this week with the Dom lightning topics?
I mean, again, there are many things in my life I regret, but none more so than that bloody button.
Listen, I will tell you this. It will get old in about 6 years.
Do you know what? That's exactly what I say to my mates. Like, seriously, Dom, you've been taking, or Frodo, depending on who's talking to me. You've been taking the piss out of this exact same thing for about 4 years now. When are you going to drop it? It's like, how long has it been? 4 years. Give it another 6, and probably at that point it'll go.
Probably that time it will end.
It'll end.
But what do you got? What do you got for us? Come on. I know you're well prepared as always. Can you want to pull up Google while I'm here?
To be honest, just let me do some Googling here.
Get the Google up.
Yep, absolutely. Look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lightning topics.
Wow. All right.
Really quick. Cowboys Steelers first game. Obviously, not exactly your starting caliber players out on the field. Good to have football back. what are your reflections on the game? And let's be honest, it wasn't exactly, it wasn't Dak Prescott against Ben Roethlisberger out there.
My only impression out of that game is Michael Parsons. And I've said this before.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up.
They looked like there were two number 11s on that field at one point. Because everywhere he turned around, he was on the field. And I've said this before, he played against guys that are second-teamers and third-teamers. And when you're an immense talent and you are playing with and against people that are below your talent, you should be rising above that talent and showing what you can do. He did. I talk about one play. He was all the way on the other side of the field. Running back was 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. He ran from one side of the field all the way to the running back, who was 7 yards away. He probably ran about 22 yards to make the play. You saw him everywhere. I mean, everywhere he turned around, he was in on a tackle. He was in changing, what was being done. He did miss. He did blow an assignment on a pass coverage out of the backfield, but the quarterback didn't go that way. But he was a little late getting out of there. But if you watch that game, the first thing that stood out to you on the defensive end was Michael Parsons. And as a Giant fan, that scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing is we don't have to play him twice. Yeah, look, I had two takeaways actually from the game. One was Michael Parsons. No secret that both of us wanted him in the draft. Yep. I didn't know who you wanted. I came out ahead of you on that score because you kept it close to your chest. But let's be honest, I don't think I influenced you in any way, shape, or form over that pick. You can get there off your own accord, and you knew exactly who you wanted if you were the GM of New York long before I said that. I think he looked really good. Let's be honest, it was second and third string. Let's be honest, it's not full playbook out there, but he was the player that stood out on the pitch. He looked like the star on that pitch. He did. With the limited number of steps he did, and it's a position of real need for the Giants alongside Martinez. I really wanted him. I was flat, and you can go back and look. We were live as the draft took place. I when we traded back, I was like, I wanted more, which was greedy on reflection. I think the trade was fair for the trade back, but I really wanted Micah Parsons. I still would have rather tried to take Micah Parsons where we were, but he's gone. He's now a Cowboy, and he looked really, really good. And that middle linebacking core for the Cowboys looks good. But the takeaway I had actually from the game was, if Dak Prescott is out for the season, that offense is like
they're going to be bad
for the Cowboys. They look really average, and they have a wide receiving core.
Yeah, but
almost like no other.
But now, Ezekiel Elliott didn't play.
That's not healthy.
Elliott didn't play. CeCe Lamb didn't play. Toomer? What's not Toomer? What was it? What's the guy? The other guy.
You got Lamb. Oh God! Now I forgot.
Now I'm drawing the blank. Came up for Amari Cooper didn't play.
Yeah, Cooper and the other one.
Yeah,
it was the other one I was trying to remember.
Oh, Michael Gallup didn't play.
Look, they didn't have them.
Yeah,
but I look at that team, and I was looking at the Cowboys, and I think that Washington for me are the favourites of that division, but I still think it's a tight call between three. I think forget the Eagles. I don't think they're anywhere near challenging for that division, and it's not a strong division. But the concern I have for the Cowboys is the defense. We don't know what it's going to be. They went draft heavy there. The line's getting worse, but they have probably the best wide receiving core. But if that goes down, I would worry about what's behind. Now, I think that's true for many teams when the quarterback goes down, what's behind. But they look distinctly average, and I know their wide receiving core wasn't out there, but that for me did start to ring alarm bells that they didn't put up a touchdown at all. They took one field goal from that game.
Yeah,
the Steelers' defense is good, and it was a first preseason game. You have to acknowledge that. But
you barely have your starting offensive line there. You have none of your starting offensive weapons, and you don't have your running back or quarterback.
But nor did the Steelers.
Yeah, but like I said, and the Steelers didn't put up a touchdown until the end of the fourth quarter.
No, that's true, but I don't think the Steelers' offense is all that. The Cowboys' offense is meant to be all that.
People keep forgetting.
And don't get me wrong, look, it's the first game, but that
people keep forgetting the Steelers won their division last year.
Sorry?
Said the Steelers won their division last year. Their downfall from the Steelers was the running game. That's why they got Harris.
Yeah. Look, they took the running back. But I still worry about that line has got a lot poorer, and Roethlisberger is yet another year older. But for me, look, it's preseason game one. You're exactly right. They didn't have their stars out there, but if they get one or two injuries on offense, I start to worry if I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh yeah,
but it's week one. Forget about it. It's not the end of the world. But that just starts to plant that seed. If I'm a Cowboy fan right now, they were the two takeaways for me. But Micah Parsons, wow,
Micah Parsons was a wow factor.
Yeah, great. I mean, I thought he was a player before he came out, and that's the first time we've seen him in the NFL, preseason. But yeah. Like you say, he was all over. He was all over the place, and he was all over the place in a good way, not a bad way.
Exactly. Topic number 2.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
Only 3 more times, or 2 more times.
I know. I'm gonna.
Donald's gonna be like, I'm all out of topics now.
I'm gonna do a Piers Morgan walkout in a minute. For those of you in America that don't know Piers Morgan, I think you'll probably know. We all know
Piers Morgan.
He actually lives in a village 6 miles away from me. That's where he grew up. I've actually played cricket against him, and he was actually quite a nice guy, even though I don't necessarily think his media persona is all that, and I'm sure he can be an arse, but he was very nice when I met him once. But he stormed out of a morning television show because the weatherman wasn't very nice to him, and he never came back. So I might have to do that over that button.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
Right, that's it. Mic off. I know I smashed my knee against the desk. That serves me right.
You know what they refer to that as karma.
Yeah. And not Karma Electra, who I'm sure Aaron may well have met at some point. That may be one of his plethora of previous girlfriends. But anyway,
I will tell you a quick story. I actually went on 2 dates with Carmen Electra back in my heyday. All seriously.
And were you alone in your room with your?
She was.
The VCR and
I will tell this story real quickly. She was doing the Pussycat Dolls, which was the burlesque show, and she was doing it at Treasure Island in Las Vegas. And we met, and we actually went out twice. no lie, true story.
Well, I'm going to try and put aside my jealousy and move on to Josh Allen.
Which Josh Allen?
I should say I love my wife dearly. She's a lovely lady, and I don't think the couch is that comfy. So please, can I stay where I normally sleep? That would be great. Thanks. Thankfully, she doesn't listen to the show, so I should be okay. And champs, please don't let her know. But Josh Allen has signed a new deal. $43 million, 50% guaranteed. I mean, I think that's the right call from the Bills. I think he's progressed year on year. But what does this mean for some of his fellow cohort from his draft class, Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson? Does it put the pressure on Browns and Ravens?
Mayfield will get paid. They need to see exactly what Mayfield is going to be. He's too up and down.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's going to get paid. I don't think they can win in Baltimore playoff wise with him because of the fact that he's too sporadic passing in the playoffs. And once you condense into the playoffs, you are then a very small sample, and teams picked on all of your bad tendencies, which they showed last year against Baltimore.
I think we said it before about Jackson. We'd love to have him at the Giants because he'd be great fun, but we ain't winning.
We're not winning a Super Bowl. We would have to go find Eli Manning to come out in retirement for week one of the playoffs. But beyond that, I mean, they're going to get paid. I mean, they're going to get paid either way. And Cleveland and Baltimore are not letting these guys
get paid more or less than Van Allen. And you can give a different answer for each quarterback.
I think it's going to depend on the cap of each team, and I don't know the cap.
And when they do it, right?
Yeah, I don't know the cap and when they do it, but I think that most teams follow the lead of other teams, so I think contractually it'll be in the same ballpark. I think the dollar figure in reference to guaranteed money and bonuses might be different, but I think you're all gonna be in the same ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, out of the three, I'd definitely take Josh Allen, but I think the Bills have done the right thing. I think one of the big things for me here is they've done it early because they know what they've got, and it probably slightly weakens Allen's negotiating position because there's time on his rookie contract. I think the Bills have done a smart move here. Is my overall takeaway.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they wrapped it up perfectly. I mean, I think you had to with the quarterback. You had to come in, and I think that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. I'm going to do one more before I do my final thought.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
He's done it again.
But you didn't walk out.
I'm not going to walk out. This is too much fun. I'm not walking out.
I swear, I'm gonna make this into a rap.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
We'll do a little scratching and mixing for you.
I think that I've actually lost my internet.
No, you're still there.
I was just going to say, the whole thing froze out. I was about to make a joke about the fact that we have the electricity over here must be a bit dodgy because I'm about to lose my internet and I can't continue the thought. And then it actually did genuinely freeze on me. But yeah, two more. Colts. They seem fairly convinced on their backup quarterback Easton over there, but I'm still not sure. But they've also just signed today, maybe less their new their linebacker has just signed an extension.
$99.6 million extension.
Yeah, I mean, we're big fans of 99 over here because it's an ice cream with a flake and everything. It's
that song about the balloons.
Yeah, 99 red balloons. But yeah, I mean, look, there's also talk though about. I think they've got a big problem this season. I had them as a favourite division. Funny enough, I don't think so anymore. However, there's talk of them bringing back Rivers, and that's what I really want to talk about. A, do you bring back Rivers? B, if you're Rivers, why do you come back? And thirdly, you retired. You kind of made that mental change. You're all in. You've got your new coaching position. You're all tied up with your family. Why do you come back now? I mean, I'm not buying that. I don't think they'll bring back Rivers, and if they do, I think that's a mistake. I don't know if you have views.
I don't think they're bringing back Rivers. I don't think that he mentioned, and what really started this was he mentioned that he may not want to be retired. That he mentioned he's actually, they say he's enjoying life as a high school coach in Alabama, but the NFL is still in the back of his mind. And there was talk about him potentially going to Denver. If he came out of retirement, he would go to Denver. I think it would be smart if they brought Rivers back because of the fact that they think they have a playoff possibility. Why not? I think
they do. If Wentz can stay healthy, I think they're a playoff team.
I don't think. I never like bringing a guy back who retired because there's always that in the back of your mind that he's going to quit mid-season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. And also, if I'm Philip Rivers, if you're coming back, you want to come back to a team where you think you can win the Super Bowl because what else has Rivers got to prove?
Right.
The thing missing from his resume is the Super Bowl.
Right.
You don't go to Denver. I don't think the Colts are a Super Bowl team. I think they're a playoff team, definitely. But I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. You don't come back there. Maybe you come back to replace Rodgers. If Rodgers got injured, say week whatever, and he's out for the season, maybe you go to Green Bay if they don't think Love's the answer because potentially that's a Super Bowl.
We've said this a million times.
You don't come to either of those two teams. And certainly not Denver.
We've said this a million times. Love is always the answer.
Love is all you need, I believe the famous Liverpool band said. But yeah, I mean, I don't buy this Rivers. I think this is nonsense. And if it's not nonsense, it really should be nonsense.
I agree. 100%.
That's good. We're in agreement. It's a shame because it's always more fun when we disagree.
I know we disagree. I know what to make us disagree.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a running theme. I'm going to pretend I'm okay with it and I hope that stops you pushing that damn button. I'm on to my final thoughts. You've got a different button to press, I think, for that.
The final thought button here. Let's see here. Do we have a final?
We're like Kenny G, the smooth sounds of Kenny G.
There's a fine line between tough and crazy, and you're flirting with.
Yeah, I'm also 2 bottles of Chianti in.
I was going to say, I'm waiting to get my second cup of coffee, but you're 5 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a nice drop of red. I won't lie. But yeah, I do have a final thought, and it's a team that you've talked about before quite highly of. But I was thinking about them a lot this week. Don't ask me why. I should have probably been thinking about work and that sort of thing. Chris, by the way, who's my boss, if you're listening, I've done lots of hard work this week. Really, I honestly have. And believe me, I'm on leave this week, but you've got a really nice handover and I took care of everything. You haven't got a big to-do list for me at all because I wasn't thinking about this sort of stuff at all. Do you think I'm covered it, Tim? Do you
I
think
think you're good. I think you covered that.
Good. Yeah,
great. I think we're good.
Fantastic.
We just won't go any further with that.
No. I think we covered. I think I'm safe. So I basically, in summary, I did lots of hard work and didn't think about any of this. But anyway, the Chargers. I'm so in trouble when I next speak to Chris.
Yeah, I'd say you're just getting yourself. You're just digging your own hole.
Oh, I know.
We're only joshing.
That's why I got the JCB on the drive.
We're only joshing. We're only kidding around about things today.
Yeah, that's fine until Chris reads the handover or something. But the Chargers, look, everyone's high on them, and I still am to many extent. I still have them as a playoff team.
Okay.
I think they're behind the Chiefs, unless Mahomes goes down or something horrific like that. They're going to finish behind there. However, there is a however. There are a couple of questions here. They do have a rookie head coach. They had a quarterback who was sensational last year, like rookie records for a quarterback. Does he suffer the sophomore slumps? And are we getting slightly sort of ahead of him, sort of 12 to 24 months ahead of him? I don't know. I mean, I really like their head coach. I thought he did a really good job where he was last year as DC. He's now a head coach, first-year head coach, and we've got film on Herbert, who I think will be fine. But
right.
I mean, are we 12 months ahead of them? Because I was thinking about this. I still have them as a playoff team, but are we 12 to 24 months ahead on their cycle? Because the Chargers, like the Jets, do have a bit of a history of beating themselves.
That's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't get to the button. If you look at the Chargers' schedule, and the Chargers have a tough schedule. So I mean, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, we got to say on paper because.
They have Washington, the Cowboys. The first couple weeks, I would say, oh my God, you know what? I didn't even look at this. The first 7 weeks, it's Washington, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Browns, the Ravens, and then the Patriots, and then they get a gimme with the Eagles.
And of them, you could see them. You could potentially see them losing all but one of those.
But then
one of them, I think they will win.
But then
they will win more than one.
You look even after that. You look even after that. It's the Vikings, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Giants, the Chiefs again, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. They could be. If you look at the schedule, they could potentially win 4 games.
You're giving them 4 off the bat, right? You're just going, you win 4, and they will win more than 4. But there's not sort of 6 there. You go, right, you're starting at 6.
There's not right now until you see the season play out. There's not 6 teams you look at right now and say, if you go off of last year's record, that they are a lot better than.
Exactly. You're exactly right. There's 4 there.
Right.
But you'd want them to be at 6.
Yeah.
To start and go, there's 6 games. You take those 6.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're ahead of the schedule. I think their schedule is going to be more of a detriment than their talent level and their coach. And I think who they're playing is going to be more of a detriment to the team than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think their coach is going to be fine.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with the coach.
It is still a rookie head coach, though. Let's not forget that. I mean, how many rookie head coaches take teams far into the playoffs? I mean, most because you come in to a worse situation.
Right.
If you're going to take a first-year head coach job, there are worse jobs than the Chargers to have.
Right.
But how many take them far into the playoffs? Seriously,
far into the playoffs?
Into the playoffs or even deep in beyond week 1 of the playoffs? Not often, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, the one that I can think of right off the top of my head is Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh. Mike Tomlin took over and went 10-6, I think. I think it was 10-6.
Actually, really quickly, has Tomlin ever had a losing season?
No, he's not had a losing season yet.
No, I think this year the Steelers might have their first ever losing season.
Bill Cowher, his first season when he was 11-5. But Harbaugh, did they go to the Super Bowl his rookie year?
Surely not.
He was 13. I know he's 13-3.
I mean, he had did they? I don't think they. Or maybe they did. But But the point still stands. You don't do it often.
No.
Right?
Well, John Madden went 12. I know John Madden won 12-1. And then, what the hell's his name? John Harbaugh. He won.
I love letting you think history. It's a genuine pleasure to watch.
He went 11-5, and they won 2 playoff games. Yeah,
Your
they
math
did.
is getting better, by the way. Congratulations.
What's that? Yeah, thank you.
Your math.
Greatest rookie head coach, Barry Switzer. He went 12-4 and won a Super Bowl.
There you go. Do you think it's going to happen?
No.
With Staley?
No.
Never once.
And
I don't think any of us think they're a Super Bowl team. We both think they're a playoff team, and I'm not going to come back from that. But I think the question is there for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think it's going to be more of their schedule than their talent level because, like I said, they're playing in a tough division. You got Mahomes twice. Bill Callahan also went 11-5 for the Raiders and went to the Super Bowl and lost to John Gruden. There's a second team for you. So it's been done. It's been done. I don't know how many I just gave you, but it's been done.
Twice. 2 times.
Yeah, but I gave you a whole bunch of other guys.
Yeah. No, but I mean, look. The point is, it's been done. But I just wonder whether me and you are 12, and not just me and you, because lots of people are saying how good the Chargers are 12 months ahead.
I don't think they're 12 months ahead. Like I said, I think it's going to be more I think the talent level is there. It's going to be more of an indication of if the schedule is there. Because a lot of people will say the Giants should have had a better record last year, but then they went into Arizona, Baltimore, and all these other teams that they got shellacked by. And it was the end of the schedule. And the problem with the Giants, in 6-10 last year, played a fairly easy schedule during that winning streak. It's as soon as they start outside of the Seattle game, as they started playing teams that had talent, they started getting blown out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Look, we said earlier the Giants finished exactly where they should have finished last year, and I think the encouraging thing from the Giants was we didn't get blown out in many games. I think the Chargers will be fine. I think they will still go to the playoffs.
I still think they'll be in the playoffs.
It did get me seriously thinking, actually, about am I 12 months ahead of where I think they are? And I'm still going to stick to where I was because I don't think I've seen anything to change my mind. But it did get me thinking, and that's the interesting thing about this time of year. You say these things and you think these things, and you suddenly start to look a bit deeper and you, am I right? And you won't really know until we start seeing some proper games.
Until we get some competition in here, we're not going to see anything. And know what that tells me? It's time to end this show because we went long again. This is Tim and Don from NFL Talk from across the pond and back. It's always an enjoyment to be here, Dom. Always enjoyment to talk to NFL, and we'll see everyone next week.